If your roses struggled last summer, it probably wasn't July's heat that caused it. It was something you did in March. One warm 60-degree day, buds swelling on the canes, cabin fever setting in, pruners in your hand. And just like that, you quietly sabotaged your entire bloom season without even knowing it. March feels like spring. The sun is warmer, the soil is thawing. You're ready to get back in the garden. But here's the problem. For roses, March is still late winter, and most gardeners make critical mistakes during this deceptive month that their roses pay for all summer long. In this video, I'm going to expose the 5 biggest March mistakes that are killing your roses, so you can protect your plants during this vulnerable transition period and set them up for their best bloom season ever. These aren't minor timing issues. They're fundamental errors that cause frost damage, disease problems, and weak growth that persists for months. At the end, I'll reveal the mistake that destroys entire seasons and causes more rose failures than any other factor. Now let's talk about why March is so dangerous for roses. March is a trap. You get one warm day, maybe even a string of warm days, and suddenly everything feels like spring. The temperature hits 60 degrees. The sun is bright. Your roses start showing signs of life with buds swelling on the canes. Every instinct tells you it's time to start working with your roses. Here's what's actually happening. March weather is notoriously unstable. That warm spell is almost always followed by another cold snap. Temperatures can plunge back into the 20s overnight. Late frosts are common well into April in most rose-growing regions. When you respond to that first warm day by pruning, fertilizing, or removing winter protection, you're exposing your roses to damage they can't recover from quickly. The real danger is that March damage doesn't show up immediately. You prune on a warm day, feel productive, and everything seems fine. Then 2 weeks later, a hard freeze hits. The new growth you stimulated turns black. The exposed canes suffer frost damage. Your rose has to start over, which delays blooming by weeks and reduces overall vigor. March is when most gardeners quietly sabotage their entire bloom season without realizing it until summer arrives and their roses underperform. Mistake number 5, watering because the surface looks dry. This seems caring and attentive. The top inch of soil around your roses looks dry and cracked. You haven't watered in months. You grab the hose and give your roses a good soaking. But here's the problem. Cold soil plus wet roots equals slow death. In March, soil temperatures are still cold, typically in the 40s or low 50s depending on your region. At these temperatures, rose roots are barely active. They're not absorbing much water because the plant isn't actively growing yet. When you water cold soil, that moisture just sits there. The top inch might dry out from sun and wind, but below that surface layer, the soil is saturated and cold. Wet, cold soil creates perfect conditions for root rot. Fungal pathogens thrive in these conditions. Rose roots sitting in cold mud can't breathe properly, which stresses the plant and makes it vulnerable to disease. Your well-intentioned watering actually damages the root system right when the plant needs it to be healthy for spring growth. The consequence shows up as weak first flush of blooms. Your roses leaf out slowly. The first flowers are smaller than usual. Growth is sluggish all season because the root system was compromised in March. Here's what to do instead. Check soil moisture below the surface before watering. Stick your finger 3 inches into the soil. If it feels moist, don't water, even if the surface looks dry. Wait until soil temperatures consistently reach the mid-50s and you see active new growth before resuming regular irrigation. You avoid root rot and maintain healthy roots that support vigorous spring growth. While watering too early damages roots underground, but the next mistake damages the crown. Mistake number 4, pulling back mulch too fast. Mulch isn't decoration, it's insulation. That layer of wood chips, shredded bark, or compost around your roses has been protecting the crown and root zone all winter. When you pull it back on the first warm March day, you're exposing the most vulnerable part of the plant to temperature swings it's not ready for. March is notorious for freeze-thaw cycles. Temperatures swing from 60 degrees during the day to 25 degrees at night. These dramatic fluctuations cause the soil to expand and contract, which can crack stems at the crown, heave roots out of the ground, and damage tender tissue that's just beginning to wake up. Mulch moderates these temperature swings, keeping the soil temperature more stable. Exposing the crown too early also subjects it to windburn and desiccation. March winds are harsh and drying. Without mulch protection, moisture evaporates rapidly from the crown area, stressing the plant right when it's trying to mobilize energy for spring growth. Here's what to do instead. Leave mulch in place until you see consistent leaf emergence and nighttime temperatures stay above freezing. When you do remove it, do so gradually over several days rather than all at once. Pull back an inch or two, wait a few days, pull back more. This gradual removal allows the plant to acclimate to exposure. You protect the crown from temperature shock and wind damage, while still allowing spring growth to proceed normally. When you combine proper watering timing with gradual mulch removal, you protect both roots and crown. Our next mistake actively stimulates growth at the wrong time. Mistake number 3, fertilizing too early. This mistake is incredibly common because it seems proactive and caring. You want to give your roses a boost for the growing season. You see fertilizer labeled early spring application. You apply fertilizer in March, thinking you're setting your roses up for success. But here's the problem. Fertilizer in March is like giving espresso to someone who's still asleep. Rose roots can't absorb nutrients efficiently when soil temperatures are below 55 degrees. The biological processes that move nutrients from soil into roots require warmth. When you apply fertilizer to cold soil, it just sits there. Nitrogen, which is water-soluble, can leach away with spring rains before the plant can use it. You've wasted money and potentially contaminated groundwater. But it gets worse. If you get a warm spell after fertilizing, the nitrogen that does become available pushes weak, soft top growth before the root system is ready to support it. This tender new growth is extremely vulnerable to frost. When the inevitable late March or early April freeze arrives, that soft growth gets wiped out. The plant has wasted energy producing growth it can't protect, which drains reserves and weakens the plant for the entire season. Here's what to do instead. Wait to fertilize until you see active new growth. Real leaves unfurling, not just buds swelling. This typically happens in mid to late April in most regions. More importantly, check soil temperature. Use a soil thermometer and wait until soil at root depth consistently reads 55 degrees or higher. When you fertilize, the plant can actually use those nutrients to support healthy growth rather than producing vulnerable tissue that gets damaged. Now, are there exceptions? If you're in an area where soil temperatures warm earlier, you might fertilize in late March. But for most rose growers, early April is the earliest safe time. Mistake number 2, cleaning too aggressively. After a long winter, your rose beds look messy. There's leaf litter, dead plant material, maybe some weeds starting to emerge. Your instinct is to clean everything up, strip away all the debris, rake the soil clean, remove every bit of organic matter. This seems like good garden hygiene, but here's what you're actually doing. You're removing protective layers and disturbing the plant during a critical reallocation phase. In March, roses are still reallocating stored energy from roots to canes. This is a delicate process. The plant is moving carbohydrates and nutrients from storage in the roots up into the canes to fuel bud break and new growth. This is not the time for major disturbance. Aggressive raking around the base can damage feeder roots that are just becoming active. Removing all organic matter eliminates the slow-release nutrients that decomposing material provides. There's also the disease consideration. Yes, removing diseased leaves from last season is important for reducing black spot and other fungal issues. But you need to do this carefully and at the right time. Aggressive cleaning in early March, when the plant is vulnerable, can cause more stress than benefit. Here's what to do instead. Think of March as a monitoring phase, not a remodeling project. Remove obviously diseased material carefully. Don't rake aggressively. Leave some organic matter in place as it continues to break down and feed the soil. Do your major cleanup in late April or early May when the plant is actively growing and can handle the disturbance. You reduce disease pressure without stressing the plant during its vulnerable transition period. That's problematic enough, but what comes next is the one mistake that destroys entire seasons. Mistake number 1, pruning too early. This is the big one. This is the mistake that destroys entire bloom seasons and causes more rose failures than any other factor. And it's incredibly common because that warm March day makes pruning feel right. I once pruned during a warm spell. 2 weeks later, we had a hard freeze. Every new shoot turned black. That year's first bloom cycle was half what it should have been. Here's why early pruning is so dangerous. Pruning stimulates growth. When you cut a rose cane, you're removing apical dominance, the hormone signal from the tip that suppresses lower buds. As soon as you prune, those lower buds start swelling and pushing out new growth. This is exactly what you want, but only if the danger of hard frost has passed. When you prune in early or mid-March and then a late frost hits in early April, all that tender new growth you stimulated gets killed. You'll come out one morning to find red new shoots turned black and mushy. The plant has to start over, regenerating from buds lower on the cane. This delays blooming by 4 to 6 weeks and significantly reduces the first flush of flowers. The plant has wasted enormous energy producing growth that died, which weakens it for the entire season. The damage compounds over time. A rose that suffers frost damage on new growth becomes stressed. Stressed roses are more susceptible to disease and pest problems. They produce fewer blooms. They don't establish as well. One bad pruning decision in March can affect rose performance for the entire growing season. Here's the secret timing signal that actually works. Prune when forsythia blooms in your area. Forsythia is a reliable indicator that soil temperatures have warmed sufficiently and the danger of hard frost has passed. This typically happens in mid to late April in most regions, a full month after that tempting, warm March day. The other reliable indicator is accumulated heat. Plants don't follow your calendar, they follow accumulated heat units. Wait for consistent nighttime temperatures above the mid-20s and daytime temperatures consistently in the 50s. Look for bud break and stable weather patterns, not just one warm day. Here's what to do instead. Resist the urge to prune in March, no matter how warm it gets. Wait for forsythia bloom or consistent warm weather with no frost in the forecast. When you do prune, you'll see that the plant responds with vigorous, healthy growth that doesn't get damaged. Your first flush of blooms will be abundant and on time. Patience in March leads to success all season long. Let me give you the March rose rule that will save your roses year after year. March is about protection and stabilization, not activation. Your job in March is to watch, monitor, and protect, not to prune, fertilize, or stimulate growth. Watch soil temperatures, not air temperatures. A warm day doesn't mean warm soil. Wait for consistent nights above the mid-20s. Look for bud break and stable weather. Both conditions must be met. Prune when local bloom indicators like forsythia show it's time. Think stabilization, not stimulation. The core principle is this: March is about protection. April is about activation. When you follow this framework, your roses emerge from winter strong, undamaged, and ready to produce their best blooms. I'd love to hear from you. Have you made any of these 5 March mistakes with your roses? Which one are you going to avoid this year? Let me know in the comments. What's been your biggest challenge with spring rose care, and when do forsythia bloom in your area? If this saved your roses from March damage, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with fellow rose gardeners who might be tempted to prune too early. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. We've got more rose care tips, seasonal timing guides, and garden problem-solving secrets coming your way soon. Check out the related videos linked right here on the screen to dive deeper into topics like proper rose pruning techniques and spring rose fertilization. Thank you so much for watching and being part of our growing community. Until next time, happy gardening!